Yeah. So just a reminder of the scoring criteria of the challenge this year. There are 5 categories, the first one being sustainability, then innovation, persuasiveness, presentation, and feasibility. So the judges are looking for ideas that are creative, but also realistic and presented in an engaging way. Each judge will be scoring each category out of 5, and then if I can ask each of you to send me your average out of 5, and then I'll add up the numbers from all of the judges and see who's got the highest score. So our entries this year, if you could
One
raise
question.
Yes,
can you use 5 times the score of 5, or is it only 1 times 5, 1, 4, 1, 3, etc.?
I'm happy if you see an outstanding idea to use as many 5s as you want.
Okay, thanks.
No limit on the 5s.
And 5 is the highest score, is it?
Yes, 5 being highest, yeah.
And are you wanting 1 to 5 for each of the criteria, Danielle, or do you just want an overall score per entry?
Your overall average, please, from each judge.
Right, got it.
Yeah. Thank you. I think we've adjusted the scoring each year, so yeah, I think that's the methodology we'll go with this year and see how it works out. Okay, so the entries this year, if you'd like to raise your hands, and I'll whoever can get fastest finger first, I will let you choose if you want to go first. I think we've got Tom and Yuda. Oh, sorry, I meant raise your hand on the Teams button, sorry, because then it'll calculate the order. That's okay. Oh, David got there first, I think. David, would you like to go first or would you like to go second?
Yeah, I can go first. Happy to go for that.
Okie dokie. We've got 2 entries this year, like I say, Tom and Yuda and David. So each team, you've got up to 20 minutes each, followed by 10 minutes of Q&A to convince us. Don't worry if you don't fill that time, it's just a guideline. It's an opportunity to showcase your ideas to the best you can. So yeah, if you'd like to go kickstarters, David.
Okay, I'll just share my screen. Can you all see that?
Loading. Got a wheel of progress.
Let me know when it's showing.
I can see it,
Yes.
David. I don't know if others can.
Yeah, all showing.
Mine has as well, yeah.
Okay. I'll make a start then. So, hi everyone, my name is David Jenkins and I'm a civil engineer working at Natural Resources Wales. So, my presentation today will focus on the key issues outlined in the brief, which are the age and flood defence at Darrant Industrial Estate and the lack of space for construction of a new asset, as the policy unit does not allow advancement of the line and there's limited space on site. And I will also focus on the biodiversity loss in the area and improving biodiversity. And then a third key issue, which is the fly tipping that currently takes place on the access road to Darrant Industrial Estate. So that is shown in this image here in the top left. So there's currently extensive fly tipping on the access route. So I'll look to address this in my proposal as well. So I'm hoping by addressing this, we can also contribute to the UN Sustainable Development Goal 12, which is to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Target 12.4 of which is to achieve the environmentally and sound management of all chemicals and all waste throughout their life cycles, which is currently not being achieved here as this waste is being disposed of improperly. So my proposal to achieve this is Darrant Industrial Island. So I'm proposing a full realignment of the earth embankment, as shown by this red line here, effectively creating Darrant Industrial Island within the River Thames. So the industrial estate itself will be protected by a sheet piled retaining wall, as shown by this black line here. And I'm also proposing the inclusion of sedimentation polders, as shown by this blue shading, to help create salt marsh habitat in this area. So there's an image here with a demonstration of the earth embankment, and then the sheet piled retaining wall. This is the preferred solution, as it can be constructed with limited space and hopefully achieve the retained height necessary to protect what will become the industrial island. So the sediment. So overall, I believe this proposal will contribute to the UN Sustainable Development Goal 13, climate action, which is to strengthen resilience to climate-related hazards. So the sedimentation polders, as shown with the blue shading, will be there's a construction drawing here that shows the proposed construction. So they will form rectangular fences with brushwood material compacted in between the fence posts, and then strong currents will be slowed, so sediment can more easily settle. So these sedimentation polders will work with naturally occurring processes to encourage sediment accretion and then salt marsh regeneration. They'll also assist with flood risk management in the area, as they will limit erosion to the earth embankment and prolong its longevity. And this image in the top right here shows their use in South Wales, where they have currently successfully helped regenerate salt marsh, and there's proposals for construction of more later this summer. So I'm also proposing the inclusion of an education centre on the site. So the education centre can be used to teach students about engineering, flood risk management and climate change. And it can be made available for deprived schools in the area, thus contributing to the UN Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is quality education. So overall, I believe this scheme will bring multiple benefits to the area with a net increase in biodiversity. I hopefully encourage many species to the area, some of which are shown on the screen, contributing to Development Goal 14 and 15, life below water and life on land, as it will promote coastal and marine ecosystems and increase biodiversity. And then this image on the bottom left is a demonstration of salt marsh habitat, also in South Wales, where polders have been constructed to promote further salt marsh habitat. So island to the access will be maintained through a bridge. Multiple options were considered, some of which are shown on the screen. The preferred option out of these is most likely to be the beam bridge shown in the bottom left, and this is due to the length of the bridge required, shown by this yellow marker here, is estimated to be 450 meters. So that follows the current route of the access road into the island. So I've also considered a long-term plan for management of the area. So long term, we'd look to decommission Darren Industrial Island and return the whole area to salt marsh and further biodiversity gain. So this could be achieved through policy change in the area. So planning policy could be changed to prevent the redevelopment of the site as units reach the end of their life, eventually meaning the whole area can be returned to the natural habitat. So, and then there'll be a long-term habitat management plan in place to ensure a biodiversity gain in the area. So thank you very much for listening, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you, David, for that. That was great. I really enjoyed the engineering drawings and the sketches that you put together there. I was going to say, our judges, if you'd like to raise your hands if you've got any questions. Ian, you'd like to fire away?
Thanks for that, Darren. I thought that was a really good presentation. So thank you for taking the time to put it together and explain it. Just one question from me, because you referenced the UN SDGs. There's a couple of very heavy engineering sort of elements of content in your proposal. Sheet steel pile, for example, retaining around the perimeter of the island, but also the construction of the beam bridge over 450 metres. I just wonder, what consideration would you give to alternatives to that if you were thinking about carbon and more sustainable approaches, given that UN SDGs are sort of featuring quite prominently in the habitat elements. And if you're going to return to natural habitat sometime in the future, what will be the offset of the lifespan on the cost of the bridge in particular?
Yeah, so I suppose earth embankment along with sheet piling could be considered in place of the sheet piling to reduce the height of the sheet piles needed. It's obviously very dependent on the space available. I think overall, all of the hard engineering aspects, especially the ones that will be removed during the decommissioning, can have careful consideration for their lifespan. So definitely not over-engineering them to last past the required length. So if there was a plan to decommission within 60 to 70 years, not designing those elements to last 120, so to prevent excess use of materials and resources. I suppose that links back to development goal 12 as well, to ensure sustainable management of the resources. But yeah, there would be quite a lot of heavy engineering aspects. So it'd just be making sure that they're not over-engineered and implementing further soft engineering where possible.
Thank you.
Okay, then it is my turn. David, thank you very much. Interesting presentation. I've actually two questions. The first one is that you propose to consider sedimentation polders. My question is, what are your considerations? Or in other words, do you know that the sediment is safe or not heavily polluted? And if it would be heavily polluted, is it still then wise to use the sedimentation polders? For what reason? And the second one is the industry willing to give up so much land? I mean, now it's raising money for them, and what is their reason to give up so much land, or are they compensated then somewhere else in the area?
Yeah, so with regards to the sedimentation pollution, that could potentially cause an issue on the site with something, hopefully with overall management of pollution in the River Thames, it would be something that could be wouldn't cause an issue, and with other schemes looking to limit pollution throughout the River Thames, hopefully that wouldn't cause an issue on the site. But with the land take, there definitely need to be some sort of landowner compensation. There is a large land take, and it would be weighing that up against the biodiversity gain. So I suppose it's something that feeds into a lot of our business cases in Wales, is trying to put a value on biodiversity gain. But I suppose my assumption is that the biodiversity gain would be worth the compensation that would have to go towards landowners.
Okay, thank you.
So hello. So I think one of my questions have already been taken. So I only have two, maybe three. I really like the transporter bridge because there is one in my city. So the option was very nice. About the sedimentation polder, how do you intend to connect water to the sedimentation area? Do you plan to have active restoration with channels and groundworks on the reconnected area? And also about the UN SDG goal 4 about education. Do you plan to have more public realm enhancement and education with maybe a pass for local communities to use the restored area? And likewise, if we take the industrial acceptance of the land loss, how do you plan to have the to take into account the lifespan of the beam bridge? But you already told something about it, because to plan the long-term end of the island with big engineering, but you already told us about that.
Okay, so on the first question, the proposal would work with obviously it's dependent on the topography of the land, but the the sedimentation polder would ideally work with them sitting between mean high water springs and mean low water springs, or so as the area is intertidal, the water would move between the sedimentation polders with the tidal range, so it would be fully naturally occurring process. There wouldn't be need for additional channels for access to get the water to the sedimentation polders. But yeah, that is of course dependent on the topography of the land, and it may need some regrading to make that work. And then the idea for goal 4 to include local passes to the community would be fantastic. I think that would definitely be a focus on free access to deprived communities in the area, and also ensuring that the any education centre built has full disability access as well, so that it's available to all. And they would look to work with particularly local schools and those in the wider area, specifically from deprived areas.
I think it's Leon next for your question.
Okay. Yes, okay, then I'll come in. Well, thank you, David, for your very nice and solid presentation. I enjoyed watching it. Some questions have already been raised about the bridge, of course, but I wanted to ask you one other question then. In your plan, you have an industrial area surrounded by a kind of nature reserve. And if things go well, that nature reserve will really develop well and maybe have some high value. How do you assess that on a little bit longer term, the industrial land together with a nature reserve, how that will match? How can you combine that on the longer term? Do you have any perspective on that? That's my question.
So longer term, we'd look to decommission the industrial land, so return all of the area to nature. There'd of course still be the surrounding residential areas and the outskirts of London that would be industrialized, and hopefully it could be a nature reserve for people who live in the area. In terms of decommissioning, I had thought, I suppose it links back to the funding question as well, but there could be potential for private investment from industrial businesses in the area, those that are looking to offset their carbon or contribute to biodiversity gain in the area. They could look to contribute to the scheme and off-put any carbon from their industrial activities.
Yes, but there will be a kind of transition period where both of them exist, where there will be both industry and nature. How will that go? Do you already have some limited land use in the industrial area? Do you have a perspective on that?
So the impact the industrial area may have on the natural zone, I suppose it would be possibly a difficult interface to manage. There'd be with the activities taking place, there'd have to be careful consideration to what activities I suppose can take place in the area and the use of the industrial estate to ensure it doesn't negatively impact the local nature zone that's directly next door to it. Hopefully most of the industrial activities could continue without having a major negative impact on the nature reserve, at least until they're decommissioned.
Okay, thank you for that answer.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't think there's any more from our judges. Thank you, David, for your presentation and confident answers to the questions. I think, if we've got Tom and Yida.
That's great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, so we're sharing our screen. Hello, everybody. We are Tom and Ida. We're from the Netherlands and we're working at Arcadis, which is an engineering company. Both our backgrounds are civil engineers, and I studied in Delft and Tom studied in Twente. Today we're going to talk about our design for the Darrent Industrial Estate. And David, it was great to see that we had some ideas in common, like channels and also an education center. Our entry, in fact, is a video, and we will show you that at the end of our pitch. First, we also received feedback from the judges to give more structure. So first, I'm going to talk you through about the design, and then Tom will tell you something about the funding, which is also a feedback point that we received. Firstly, about the idea for the area is really to bring in more gradient into the area surrounding the industrial estate. So we're going to do that by, in light blue, you see like the restructure. So we're going to add a little bit more of restructures to in a mud area. Also, we will add a channel restoration, an extra channel in the Crayford marshes, and then we will add a little barrier to the Darrent River. And this will be an active restoration, and the soil that comes out of the channels, we'll use it for a secondary dike, so an earthen embankment. And at the same time, we will make a road diversion. So instead of the road cutting through the Crayford marshes, we will we'll make sure that the road goes in the northern side, like along the northern dike. Also, we thought of like how can we make this area less noisy and more suitable for birds. So first of all, we thought of that the new road should have some noise barrier, and also it would be great if the industrial had more covered roofs, and also roofs which are green or which are more attractive to birds. And we put all kind of bird images in the video. And then about the technical design. So we split the technical design in two parts. The first part is the road diversion. So we have the old cross section of the dike. Then we want to make an extra earthen embankment to block the noise from the cars. So we thought of that the old embankment could be heightened, and then the road could be in between, and then the second, a more kind of regional embankment could be put next to it, so that the road is somewhat sheltered from the nature area. Secondly, there's like the industrial zone, which has very little room for an earthen embankment. So we also thought of the sheet piles as a solution, and then precisely we thought of the Prolog sheet piles. So those are plastic sheet piles which have a lower life cycle assessment than the traditional steel ones. They are also like 100% circular. They're very quick and easy to install. They're also cheaper than the normal one. And the last one is, oh yeah, it's very durable. So it's like, it has a lifetime of 100 years. And we thought of this innovative sheet pile system that could also be of great use for this area. And currently in the Netherlands, I think the first project is using them. So that is the technical part about this redesign of the area, and then Tom will tell a little bit about funding.
Yeah, so this entire project, of course, also needs to be funded, and for that we actually make use of several funding ideas. The project, on the one hand, increases the flood management, for which the UK has several programs. For example, the Natural Flood Management Program Perspective and the Flood and Coastal Erosion Risk Management Projects funding. We both looked into their restrictions, and actually we think for both programs and upcoming programs in the future, we do succeed all the criteria. Next to that, also the biodiversity and nature conservation fundings like the Darwin initiatives and several education programs will help us support this idea to make this all possible.
So let's now proceed to the video.
Yes.
Did you share with the audio settings?
Let's give it a try.
Okay. I hope you can hear us, otherwise
yeah.
let us know.
Can you hear us or not?
Oh,
No.
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Then let's have a look.
Before sharing, you should tick some box somewhere in Teams.
Hier eruit. Hier ergens.
Input sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we tick the
Trial.
box.
Trial 2.
Hello, we are Ida and Tom from Arcades, and our idea is based on Joost Klein's song Europa Path.
Europe, let's come together. It's now or never for Darrent Industrial Estate.
Welkom in Europa, blijf hier tot ik dood ga. Europa, pa, Europa, pa. Welkom in Europa, blijf hier tot ik dood ga. Europa, pa, Europa, pa.
Ik zoek mijn friends in France of neem de benen naar Wenen. Ik wil weg uit Netherlands, maar mijn paspoort is verdwenen. Heb gelukkig geen visum nodig om bij je te zijn. Dus neem de bus naar Polen of de trein naar Berlijn. Ik heb geen geld voor Parijs, dus gebruik mijn fantasie. Heb je een eurotje please, zeg merci en alsjeblieft. Ik ben echt alles kwijt, behalve de tijd. Dus ben elke dag op reis, want de wereld is van mij.
Welkom in Europa, blijf hier tot ik dood ga. Europa, pa, Europa, pa. Welkom in Europa, blijf hier tot ik dood ga. Europa, pa, Europa, pa. Europa, pa, 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 pa. Europa, pa, pa. Europa, pa, 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 pa. Europa. Ich bin in Deutschland, aber ich bin so allein. Io sono in Italië, ja, maar toch doet het pijn. Ben aan het vluchten van mezelf, word de hele dag om help. Ja, ik geef zelfs mensen geld, maar er is niemand die me helpt. Ik hoef geen escargots, hoef geen vis en chips, hoef geen paël. Ja, no, ik weet niet eens wat dat is. Zet de radio aan, ik hoor Stromae met papa Oete. Zal niet stoppen tot ze zeggen, ja, dat doet hij goed, hé. Welkom in Europa, blijf hier tot ik dood ga. Europa, pa, Europa, pa. Welkom in Europa, blijf hier tot ik dood ga. Europa, pa, Europa, pa. Europa, pa, 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 pa. Europa, pa, pa. Europa, pa, 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 pa.
Welkom in Europa, jongen!
Aan het einde van de dag zijn we allemaal mensen. Mijn vader zei me ooit, het is een wereld zonder grenzen. Ik mis je elke dag, is wat ik stiekempjes fluister. Zie je nou wel, pa? Ik heb naar je geluisterd.
So that was our pitch. I hope you liked it. We took a more creative approach.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, we really loved the video. I think we said in our feedback that we love the music. I think I'll be singing that later tonight. So if we go to our questions from the judges, first up is Petra. Fire away.
I'll try to minimize my questions and give the floor to everybody else. So I just would like to say that I really like the presentation because it's really original. And I promise that, for me, that will be 12 points for an original presentation. So I'm very happy one of you already did that. And I must say, also, David, it's good effort in improving his presentation, I must say. So, but this one is quite original, of course.
Thank you.
Well, I would congratulate you with your presentation. You took a big risk because you could have easily be disqualified, taken out of competition. But it was nice. It was really unusual. I've got the same, more or less the same question as I had for David. You used the soil for constructing a secondary dike, but what can you do when the soil is polluted? Because you talk about an industrial area.
Yeah, it's a very, very valid question, and also one we have in the Netherlands with our floodplain restoration. I think, I don't know the international guidelines as well, but in the Netherlands, we are allowed to use the polluted soil within the core of the dike, as long as the first meter of the new dike is of unpolluted soil. So then you can kind of make a zoning in your dike design. So I would prefer that option over getting new fresh soil from somewhere else.
Okay,
I hope it
thank you.
answers your question. Yeah.
Yeah, that answers my question.
It's now up to me, I think. I can see some yes. Okay. Well, thank you for this very nice presentation. If ever I need to make a bid book for something with a flashy demonstration, I know where to find you. Yeah, for Olympic Games or I don't know what, or any championship, this is, well, really taking some energy. But of course, I have a question about what your proposals are as well. You give some maps on how you want to move forward, but to me it seems that you only use the west end of the whole area and not do anything on the east end, on the east end of the river. Why is that?
I think on one hand, with this design, it's able to make sure that the industrial area is becoming more green and more nature-based and also flood protected. And the eastern side less. Yeah, it's a nature conservation area. So in terms of flood protection, not too much needs to be done. And also, yeah, we won't like to shape everything becoming nature, but also letting the nature to be able to shape its own way. So we want to interrupt in the least possible area, let's say, and that's why we made it in this way.
Okay. Yeah. Well, apparently you made an explicit decision, but it was not somewhere in your presentation, so I had to make an educated guess for that. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
So I think I'm going next. You had some 3D reefs printed in front of the industrial area, but I didn't see, or I couldn't remember anything in front of the dike before the road diversion. So how do you plan to protect or to manage the dike and to keep the road open for the sake of the place? How do you deal with erosion and for the embankment dike of the road?
For the very valid question about like erosion on the, I think the northern stretch of the area, I think I had a look at the how the sediment colors were right now. I think I put the erosion, like the artificial reefs on the area where there's the velocities in the water velocities are the highest. And I trust, because in the northern part the water velocities are lower, I trust that the system will naturally restore itself. And also I saw that the area of mud is quite large already right now there. So I don't think it will need many measures over there.
Thank you.
Probably me next. Thanks both. Really great presentation, and nice to have something something a little bit different. Question for me is you put towards the end of the presentation around the closing of the industrial estate in the long-term future. I'm interested in your thoughts about how you would actually transition to that particular position.
I have quite some thoughts about it. I don't know. I think the demand for used cars will be less and less. So then maybe they'll also try to reinvent themselves in more innovative ways to take apart cars or to repair them. So the area will be smaller and smaller. And then by the end, if it's small enough, you can just move them away, I think, just by natural demand of less cars. Yeah. I hope. You too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's all from our questions. Just out of interest, is anyone else that's dialing into the call, would they like to ask any questions of either of our teams? If you'd like to raise your hand. Very thorough presentations. No one's got any more questions. So my plan for the next part of the call was the scores will be sent in to me from the judges. First of all, I was thinking, Petra, if you'd like to reveal our good news about the tickets and what we're able to offer this year. And then secondly, if each judge would like to just give their general feedback, what they liked about each presentation, any suggested improvements for future, if you want to enter the YPC again. So yeah, fire ahead, Petra. Thank you.
Shouldn't we do first the judgments?
Okay, yeah, I haven't got any scores.
I was sending the scores. I didn't send it to you yet. I don't know the others have.
Oh, I've got one.
How do you want the scores sending through, Daniel? Want them on WhatsApp or?
Email okay, or Teams chat would be fine. Yeah, if you just send me the average out of 5 for each team.
Sorry, what do you want? The average one or the total number, the total amount of number?
The average, please.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll add up all the averages and then got the highest. Those judges that have sent me their scores, would you like to offer your feedback to the teams?
I think you're up first, Ian, whilst Danielle's just doing her adding up.
Okay, yeah, quick feedback then. First off, huge thanks for getting involved in this, both teams. It doesn't escape my gaze that we've got 2 international entries, one from Wales, one from Netherlands, none from England, and you've been looking at the site on the River Thames. So congratulations to you both for looking at that from an alternative perspective. Thoroughly enjoyed both presentations equally. I thought they were both very good. And I think, in contrast to previous years, I thought the technical content was good in both presentations as well. So, thank you for doing that. So you haven't just thought about your plans, but you've done some research as well and thought about what might be the implications on the engineering, the cost, the environment, which I think is all very good. I did like sort of the Jos Klein sort of song around the entry in particular, Thomas and Ada. I thought that was really inventive. But equally, David, I thought your presentation was really good as well. You've obviously listened to the initial feedback from the judges, so well done on that. I did think about another question later, which I was going to ask of both of you. I won't do it now, but I was thinking, you know, in the Environment Agency, we're thinking about when do we need to replace the Thames barrier, which is not far upstream of the site at Darrant. My really wicked question was going to be, should we move the barrier downstream of Darrant so that we don't necessarily need to do anything and they can benefit from a Thames barrier solution? Maybe move it down to Dartford, but that might have sort of blown your minds a little bit because it's sort of different context to the question. But so I didn't ask that. But yeah, I thought you both did really well. So thank you.
Yeah, and I raised my hand because of, well, actually the same as what Ian says, the engineering base of both presentations is solid. And that is really nice. And it is always then the challenge to keep the base and to become broader than only the engineering. And that's all what you, in both presentations you were doing. And I think that is quite valuable to do that you know how to place the engineering in society. And that's always a challenge which you will be keeping working on your entire professional life. But well, what I could find from your presentation is that you're already on a good path, and creativeness and perseverance, it is all very nice to see. So thank you very much. I'm finished, Leon. Now your turn.
Okay, then indeed, thank you. Well, thank you both for your presentations. Both of them are quite different from each other. And I think you use either one or the other one depending on what kind of an audience you will have. For David, your presentation, I would say it's really solid. It explains what your plans are. It's a step forward, and each step by step you give a perspective on what to do, and you give enough ingredients for a very good discussion so people can make it their own plans and see if they like it or not, and understand the whole plan. That's really good. For the team of Arcadis, well, of course, you have a quite unique kind of presentation. Actually, the next time I will do it the other way around. Start with the song, so you get the full attention of the audience, and then explain what is in there, and then tell them, okay, we've got some ideas. You've seen the flashes very shortly, but we'll get to that a little bit more deeper. For some audiences, this will really work. For others, it won't. So you always have to be careful where to use it. Personally, I liked it in this situation. And what I liked in your plans also was that in the industrial estate, you also thought of the green roofs in order to make a kind of connection between the ugly industrial estate and the nature reserve. So it doesn't conflict too much. That is a kind of element that I really liked. Yeah, and I think later we'll give our numbers. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks both. Like I said, very different presentations, but what was really great to hear was the engineering aspects of all of it. And actually, you had both thought of a lot of the same things around that, the longevity, the long-term plan for the future, which for me is really important. I think it's great that we've got our young professionals that are starting to think quite differently, and they were both conversations that I think I could see us having, you know, as we start to kick off projects. So really pleased and enthused actually to hear that that you've got that way of thinking already. I love both styles actually. And I agree with Leon. I think knowing the audience, you know, both will have their place depending on who you're trying to influence. But yeah, great. Thanks so much for taking the time.
I'm going next. So I really liked the place for nature in both of the presentation, and reopening the dike is well, always appreciated for us. So really nice of both teams. Also, like Deborah said, the long-term view and the engineering was very clear in both presentations. And what was also very nice is that you took some other things into account, like garbage management and how it can be linked to the road, how to use the embankment to reduce noise and to enhance nature. So all that kind of things was really integrated thinking in both of the presentation. So well, very nice to have it and to hear from it. So it was not just the engineering was there, but you in all the presentation you took something else in it, and that's nice.
Perfect, thank you. So I've been looking at the scores. I feel like I need a bit of a drum roll here. So David, on the persuasiveness, that is what we think you have won on that. You scored some 5s in that. Really great job of convincing us, convincing all of our judges that your proposal was feasible but creative as well. And also Tom and Yida on the creativeness, that is, yeah, outstanding from that point of view. You've scored 5s from multiple judges on that, so in that aspect you have won for that one. So both teams would like, I feel like we should give a round of applause. Thank you. And Petra has some really good news to say to both of our teams. If you'd like to reveal.
Now, as we have a tie, I asked Ian as well, like, can we do something about this? Can we get them all involved? Because you usually have 2 tickets, which was in case if you have one contestant, one team of 1 person, but if they're a team up of 2, then at least you have both of them involved. But as we have a tie now, Ian, do you think we can do something? Can we get them both teams into our Kring of September?
I don't know how we can separate the 2 teams, Petra. So I think the best thing is that we respect that there was a tie and we invite all of the teams to come in September. So what I would do is we agree that we'll provide free tickets for both Tom and Aida and for David. So you can all join us in September and we can enjoy the presentations again with a wider group in the Thames Estuary at the end of September. So we look forward to welcoming you both to join us.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Ian, for helping us organizing that. And well, Tom, Ida, and David, to be very welcome in September. I think Daniel will also contact you later in how to proceed, because you will also get a location in our program to present again for the whole group, because now you're only a small group. Then we will have approximately 80 people involved. They would also like to hear your thoughts, so perhaps we can organize something maybe on the Sunday that you have it over with, and the Monday and Tuesday you just can enjoy the Kring. But we'll get back to that later, and well, be very welcome in our midst, in our network, as our ladybugs amongst all these dinosaurs, and we explain that as well, what we mean by that before our Kring. Daniel, do you have some last remarks, perhaps?
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you. I've really enjoyed hosting this year. This is my first year hosting the Young Professionals Challenge. It's been really interesting hearing from the different teams and their submissions. I love the creativity of Tom's and yeah, the sketches from David. I like getting my teeth into some technical drawings, so I really enjoyed that as well. Yeah, I will be in touch with the details of the challenge and I look forward to seeing you in September. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you too, and also David. great outcome.
Good.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Perhaps the judges can just wait until everybody's gone, just to reflect a little bit as well. Then see you all in September.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.